Hey guys, welcome back to Goldshaw Farm. It's another beautiful day here on the farm, and I've got a fun one cooked up for you today. Farmers are conservative, gunslinging, Catholic as blank, homeschoolers, old school hunters, and seem to deny climate change and sometimes COVID. Wow. I assume you make a boatload of money, which allows you to choose that farm life without financially suffering. Farmers like country music. So I recently asked the question on our Instagram account and within our YouTube community about what are some of the biggest assumptions that people have about both farmers as well as us here at Goldshaw Farm. And so in today's video, I'm going to be answering all of those assumptions. Got a duck under the fence post here. How's it going, buddy boy? Huh? How are you doing? Did you bark off all those coyotes, huh? Seems like you did. Got a little muddy there on the push, too. How are you doing? Release the blackhead! So this little chicken has been staying with the ducks and geese the last couple of days. She really doesn't like to be out with the rest of her flock. I'm letting her be who she wants to be, you know? She's kind of like the Ron Swanson equivalent of a chicken, you know? Ron Swanson is the duck who thinks she's a goose, and that chicken might be the chicken who thinks she's a duck. Here on Goldshaw Farm, it's all good. You be you. Rise and shine, chickens! Good morning, House Slytherin! How'd you go, guys? Let loose the goose! How's it going there this morning, Alexander Hamilton? There's a lot of things you haven't done, but just you wait. All right, I'm gonna just start addressing these because you guys sent in assumptions, and you know what happens when you make assumptions.
No, what do they say? That you shouldn't. Very clever.
All right, let's begin. Is it true that farmers like chewing on straw/wheat? No, not really. I mean, you're around grass a lot, and you're around tall grass with like seed heads, which if you ever wonder, like a really tall piece of grass, that's usually what, when you see somebody chewing on it, that's what it is, just a piece of straw. You can actually use the straw as a toothpick if you're out in the pasture and you don't have one, but why wouldn't you just floss or something, I guess? Farmers have to own huge cars. This one might have some merit to it. I mean, I'm thinking about every farmer I know, and they all drive pickup trucks at this point. I think maybe one or two of them have like Priuses and pickup trucks. And when I actually first started farming, I had like a little Volkswagen that was an awesome car, but I ended up getting rid of it just because it's not practical around here. And generally speaking, you need a pickup bed to move around things like hay and straw and feed and building supplies. And so a pickup truck really does come in handy. I don't know of any farmers who have like a Cadillac or a Plymouth. I got me a Chrysler and since about 20. You know, like a large car, but large trucks, yes, lots of farmers have large trucks. All farmers are hunters, they own guns and will use it. That's relatively true, but I guess around here in Vermont, you know, pretty much a lot of people, not most people, but a lot of people are hunters and have guns. Since I've moved up to the farm here, I've purchased a few guns. You know, not like machine guns or anything crazy, but like, you know, I have a shotgun, I have a rifle, you know, I use those for dealing with varmints. Sometimes I'll go hunting here, and so, yeah, yes, I guess that assumption I would say is true. Farmers' diet consists of 99% farm-grown products. If you mean farm-grown products like from your own farm, I'd say that that's not true. I eat like a ton of eggs. We eat a ton of vegetables that come here from the farm. We'll eat meat that's produced here on the farm. But in terms of like the percentage of our diet, I would say, especially especially this time of year, maybe half of our diet is coming from stuff produced here on the farm. Farmers eat bacon and eggs every morning, often before sunrise.
Give me all the bacon and eggs you have.
No, definitely not true. Number one, I know for me, this is true of most farmers, usually you get up and you get your chores done and you take care of the animals first and get things settled before you eat your own breakfast. So, you know, obviously this is after sunrise as I'm recording this, as I'm letting everybody out in the morning. I do eat eggs pretty much every day. I don't eat bacon every day. I'm not a huge bacon fan, and so that's not true. That question actually reminds me I should probably feed the animals right now, so let's do that. Choo, 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 choo. Peacham for the geese. Guys, leftover zucchini. Hey guys, I got food for you. Some zucchini, some corn and sunflower seeds. Toby, get out of there, bro. Hey, no. Toby, come on. Phew, it is already starting to warm up today. It started off being about 50 this morning. I think it's supposed to get up to be about 85 today. All right, let's hit more assumptions here. Every farmer has a relative named Angie. That's weird and oddly specific and untrue. There is a big difference in time commitments between farmers of animals versus farmers of food crops. I would say that that's relatively true. When it comes to raising animals, it's relatively frequent, you know, 2 times daily usually, time you have to commit to tending to those animals. So yeah, I think there is more of a responsibility and time commitment when it comes to animals. That said, don't underestimate how much work it is to be a crop farmer. I mean, those are some long days. If you have a tractor, that's a lot of hours you're logging. Harvest is a very challenging time, and everything has to be done in a very tight window. Assume that farmers are a dying breed as their too smart or too lazy children would rather sell land than farm. I think that's a little true, actually. I think it's a tough sell for a kid to want to get into a generational farming thing. I personally think that the bigger opportunity for our farmers of the future actually come from people who don't come from farmers. I mean, I count myself among them, right? What other profession is it where the expectation is if your parent did it, you got to go do it? That to me seems very antiquated and silly, both in terms of the expectation that somebody might have for their child, as well as the exclusionary practice of not inviting people in to work in farming who don't necessarily have agricultural roots. Daylight savings time isn't actually often used by farmers. Used is an interesting word. I actually find that daylight savings time really does kind of wreak havoc a little bit here on the farm. Our animals are going off a schedule that's based on the sun. You know, I'm out here letting them out at sunrise and locking them up at sunset. And so that's like the window of time that I have them outside. And so, you know, in the summer, you know, they can be out there for, I don't know, 16 hours a day practically, and they're fine. In the winter, they might be out there less than 8, and it's solely dependent on where the sun is. I find that artificial construct of daylight savings really monkeys with things, and I'm having to, like, those couple of weeks both during the switch over as well as the switch back, having to like readjust my schedule and deal with sleep deprivation, and it totally screws up with my work schedule, and I hate it. So I guess that's true. I assume farmers have no holiday break or annual leave. That's not true. I mean, you know, once a year we try to take a vacation here, like just back in February, which is really the quietest time of the year here on the farm. We got a farm sitter, and Allison and I went out to Spain, and it was so cool to just spend time together, not have responsibilities like we have here on the farm, and just relax, as well as just see a whole different perspective on the world. It is absolutely much harder to get away. Like if I wanted to go somewhere for a day or two, I'd still have to think about farm coverage and who's doing what. But it's not impossible, so I'd say that that's untrue. It must smell awful. It smells terrible. Toby too. Don't listen to the mean internet people, Toby. Don't listen to them one bit. No, no, no. I mean, it doesn't really smell terrible here. The duck house itself isn't the best smell in the world, but because we raise our animals on pasture, I find that constant rotation actually keeps the stink down because they're distributing their manure pretty evenly, and you know, we've got a lot of space here, so it's not like we're in a warehouse raising chickens, which smells horrendous. And then as far as Toby dog goes, he actually smells pretty good. He's got a nice sort of earthy smell to him, even when he's wet. Like he's kind of damp and soggy right now from running in the dew. He doesn't smell bad. He doesn't get like that wet dog smell that you get like from golden retrievers. So I'm gonna say that that one is completely untrue. Rise and shine, silky chickens. How's it going this morning, Penny? How's it going this morning, Bernie? Here, I got you guys some zucchini. Fresh water in a minute. I think Penny's gonna remain Penny's name. It's gonna be more Penny like Penny Hardaway than like Penelope.
Jason Williams on Grant. Penny, one-handed dunk around Marbury.
Little Penny.
Tell him little Penny from the science club says hello. Can you do that for a brother?
I think most kids watching this video have no idea what I'm talking about right now. Water. All right, let's get back to some of your assumptions here. Conservative, gunslinging, Catholic AF homeschoolers, old school hunters, and seem to deny climate change and sometimes COVID. Wow, that one, there's a lot to that one to unpack, but let me try to take a stab at it. So the idea that farmers are conservative, I would say generally speaking that is true, but it is absolutely by no means the rule. I would personally not consider myself somebody who's conservative. I think that my belief system would generally be speaking considered much more sort of left of center. But I also personally believe people can believe what they want. And that allowance of freedom of perspective is what makes the United States such a great country. But yes, there are a fair amount of conservative farmers. I mean, to really break this down though, gunslinging, although like I said earlier, I have firearms, I do not consider myself a gunslinger. Catholic AF homeschoolers, we don't have kids, so I don't think that applies. I did go to Catholic school, but I would not say that that's my religious point of view at this stage of my life. I do believe that climate change has been accelerated by human activities and that we all collectively have a responsibility to make sacrifices to try to improve the situation. I would also say that I believe that COVID is a public health crisis and does require sacrifices collectively on our parts. I'm sure that answer probably just made a whole bunch of people want to unsubscribe from my channel, but I gotta say, I just want to be honest, that is how I feel, and if you actually want to unsubscribe from somebody just because they don't share your point of view, I would really push you to question that philosophy in life, because I personally believe that our lack of willingness to hear the perspective of others and coexist with perspectives that are not necessarily the same thing that we believe is an important part of what will make our society better. So yeah, so there's that. Small farms don't really have a chance against big industrialized farms. I don't know. I think the deck is definitely stacked against small farms, both in terms of the scale and economics of your operation, as well as just our regulatory framework currently and sort of what's subsidized and what isn't, and what sort of behaviors our government incents. So from that perspective, I would say that's true. But I also think that small farms have unique competitive advantages. And really one of the things I'm trying to do as we start this farm is find ways that we can be economically sustainable from just our farming operation and have it be a competitive advantage. I don't think I've found that formula yet. I think there are some people out there who have highly profitable, highly productive small farms. And I think the real need is we need more people out there doing this and creating more demand for these types of products too. And so I think if we can make those things work, I do think small farms stand a chance. I'd say that only real farmers have huge operations and that hobby farmers aren't farmers. Yeah, that's an assumption people have sometimes. I know I face it all the time where people don't think we're real farmers because we don't have, 100 acres of corn growing or a whole bunch of tractors or a whole bunch of debt. But I would actually push to say that a farmer really is anyone who is growing food and producing it and trying to sell it to other people. That to me is very much the dividing line between, say, a homesteader and a farmer. If you're growing that food with the intent of producing it for somebody else, then you are a farmer. People assume that they are mean to animals and don't value the lives of animals because they keep them to grow meat. Here on our farm, we raise ducks and geese for breeding stock, baby birds, eggs, hatching eggs, and meat. And that meat part is a tough part about the business, but it's also an important one. You actually can't sustainably raise poultry without thinning your numbers and managing the ratio of males that you have to females. What I find is important is you focus on giving your animals a great life. You treat them well, you treat them with the respect, you make sure that they have a great environment to live in and to prosper in. And then, yeah, at one point they are gonna have that one bad day, but you do it respectfully and you do it knowing the sacrifice that they're making. And then when it comes down to it, you need to really respect things like eating meat. And you probably don't wanna necessarily eat meat at every meal, and you wanna probably think about being conservative in how you consume meat, but also recognize that eating meat is a part of the overall life cycle. And so I think it's about having that balanced view on things and treating the animal with respect and dignity as much as possible. So for me personally, that's completely untrue. I do know that there are, factory feeding operations and other types of farming operations that don't take that philosophy. So I don't know, I guess it's half true. Good morning, scared little ducklings. How's it going, little guys? Got a nice morning sweat going after doing my scything for the day. Feels good. All right, let's hit at some more of your assumptions here. It's extremely hard work and weather can mess everything up quickly. Yes, absolutely both are true. The work is hard. I find it very rewarding, but it is not insignificant in terms of the effort required and sort of the physical demands of it. But I think that's also kind of what makes it beautiful. As far as the weather goes, yes, weather will wreak havoc on all things. City people can't learn to farm. Ooh, that one really gets my goat. Because as a former city person trying to learn to farm, I would say what I'm doing is not impossible, so I would say I am disproving that assumption. Farmers like country music. Yeah, no, I guess I like a little Johnny Cash. I like some older country music, original Hank Williams, that sort of thing. But I do like a little bluegrass too, here and there. But like you know, I don't like contemporary country music at all. I assume that farming kills the liking of punk rock music. That is 100% not true, because actually probably the genre of music I listen to the most is punk rock. If you look at my regular rotation as I'm working out here around the farm, punk rock and farming, they can go together. I assume that farmers have to get up super early, like before the sun is up. No, you know, it's kind of true. So I pretty much get up with the sun, especially in the summer. But in the winter, I'm probably up before the sun just because, you know, you have such little daylight, especially when you're this far north. You wake up to a rooster every day. Not true, because as you can see when I let Penny the rooster out, he wasn't really crowing until he was outside, and so I'm usually the one letting the rooster out, so I'm up before the rooster, and then the rooster starts crowing. I assume you make a boatload of money, which allows you to choose that farm life without financially suffering. That's a really personal question, and so I think that Allison and I make a decent living. We both have good income jobs as our full-time jobs. So Allison works as a nurse practitioner. I work doing marketing at an insurance company. And so I think we're probably luckier than a lot of people in that regard. And I would say we're just very fiscally responsible people too. And so we have just saved and saved over the years. You know, we saved all of our money to buy this farm actually without any debt. So we own this farm outright, no debt. And so again, that required a fair amount of money to do that. But that was all just savings. So because we were really conservative with our money, by the time we were in our mid-30s, we were able to buy this place. So I guess to address that question, boatloads of money, I don't know. We're not millionaires by any stretch, but yeah, we definitely have probably rowboats full of money, if that's a thing. I assume that you leave the ducks and geese out supervised only by Toby all day while you work. That's totally true. So most days, like especially days where I'm working my day job, I will definitely be inside the house working. I might hop out during lunchtime and just check on things and see if everything's okay or refill a waterer or something. But for the most part, I leave them completely unsupervised. Toby's job here on the farm is to protect the birds, and so he stays out there full time with them just by himself at this point. When he was younger, I would restrict his access as I was training him. Now that he's almost a year old, he's got complete free access all around the duck and goose area 24/7. And so he spends a lot of time just sort of hanging out with the ducks and geese, watching over them. I assume that geese are actually winged tyrants trying to take over the world one farm at a time. Very true. You're constantly covered in poop. I would not say I'm constantly covered in poop. I definitely get my fair share of poop, and I bet if you examined my boots here, you'd find a fair share of poop there. But constantly covered? I mean, come on, guys. The repetition of everyday chores is boring and mind-numbing. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. I personally like the quiet physical labor aspect of things, so like when I'm building something or I'm scything or I'm cutting wood or cutting down trees. The regular routine of the chores I find very meditative. I've actually made videos about that before. Also, while I'm out there working on stuff, I spend a lot of time listening to stuff, so you know, punk rock is definitely one of those things I listen to if I want some music, but a lot of times I'm listening to podcasts and a crazy amount of audiobooks. I think I am more well-read at this point in my life, even though I rarely crack open a book these days. But just because of audiobooks, I just read a ton. And so that to me has been pretty cool. That's actually one of the perks about being a farmer in my eyes. Okay, Toby, this last assumption is all about you. It says, I assume that Toby is the bestest boy and deserves all his smashed eggs. That is 100% true. Here you go, bud. Eat up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you're new to our channel and want to see what our farm's all about, be sure to check out this video here, which talks about Toby, the livestock guardian dog who guards the ducks. I'll see you guys in that next video. Thanks for watching.